And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have.
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the race, the people known as the race black, really are.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them. With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah, with the intent.
We're finishing now part 2, chapter 2. And what we've said so far is that people have free will and their actions are, some are good and some are evil. And by the way, the Rambam writes explicitly that everyone has some good actions and some bad actions. Everyone. And he takes it for granted that there'll be a variety. We talked about the fact that this world and the next world are asymmetrical. The next world is where the majority of a person's actions, which determine his identity, are compensated. For the righteous, they exist in the world to come and they're rewarded. And for those whose major complexion is black are excluded from the world to come.
This is where I'm starting now. Now, let me throw this out there.
Okay.
I'm not saying that the Jews we know today as Ashkenazi Jews are not Israelites. I know that Hebrew Israelite theology says they're not, that they are imposters, and they go so far as to say they are the synagogue of Satan mentioned in Revelation 2.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to you guys. See my brother Ashby, Elder Ashby, that's up in Boston. I see you logging off. Apologies, I wanted to get here earlier. Got on here kind of late. Had some unexpected things that came up. So my apologies for starting extremely late tonight. So Brother Ashby, really appreciate you. You and Amos show. Just give my love to her and appreciate you. Let's connect tomorrow. But want to say peace and blessings to you guys. Hope and pray all is well. Pray that you guys had a blessed Shabbat. We had a great Shabbat. So much to cover tonight. And I'm going to have to kind of piece it together as far as like kind of what I mean by piece together, put my presentation together on the fly. Didn't have enough time to really put the presentation together like I would normally do. And so I'm going to kind of like, kind of free it, freestyle it, freelance it a little bit, so but it's so much to cover, family. And I'm sure you guys have, if you haven't, some of you guys already watched the video, the interview with Dr. Fred Price Jr. with I believe he's a pastor, but goes by the name of Ezekiel. I'm sure you guys saw the interview. And we're going to just kind of do a reaction to some of the things that was mentioned. And I want to make this clear. I want to preface this by stating that this is not here to, I'm not here to bash anyone. This is not a rally to bash Pastor Price, right? But I do want to just kind of talk about and address some of the things that was stated inside that interview, right? So I want to make it clear, because oftentimes when, you can see both sides of the narrative, that if you're addressing something that may be questionable, in terms of something that you may not agree with totally, then all of a sudden you are treated a certain way. You're referred to in a certain light, and that's not what we're going to do here. All right. So we're going to, I'm going to respect you guys, just like you guys are going to respect me, and we're going to respect Pastor Price. We're going to respect him, because truth be told, it's easy to say what you would do, kind of that, if I were you type approach when it comes to certain situations. He's done a lot with his ministry. His father really did a lot as far as laying the groundwork for a lot of us today to be able to speak on these things in the way that we speak, in the manner that we speak. And for some of you guys that may not be familiar with, his father pretty much sacrificed a thriving televangelist ministry that was one of the top ministries on television in the world. So once he began to go into a series, I believe it was called Race. I can't remember the full name. I played a couple of videos, but it was Race and something else in the Bible. But he really, did like a 1-year series, and he went in, and he helped get the narrative. He and others like Dr. Emmanuel. You know, we can name some others that really laid the foundation early on before many really came into this awakening. So he, you know, I want to just preface this again that this is not a video to bash anyone. And I'm just going to ask those that are here, that's going to come here and watch this video, that's going to be inside the chat. Let's be respectful. Not everyone is going to agree with the things that I teach. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Now, we'll say just because you don't agree doesn't mean that you're right. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I am wrong, you know, because I've had that a lot, you know, with showing facts. And some would still say, hey, I disagree. And I would say to them, just because you disagree doesn't make you right, doesn't make me wrong. But let's let the facts speak for itself. But with that being said, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Brian Scholar and Sister Carol. I see them in the back here. So let me bring them on before we get started. Let me bring them on. All right. Want to say peace and blessings, Brian Scholar and Sister Carol. Want to say peace and blessings to you guys.
Peace and blessings to you, my brothers. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Doing great.
Good.
Doing great. So, you know, when I saw the Michael Jackson movie earlier. So,
Oh, good.
Yeah. So brought back some memories of the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Memories.
Shalom, I guess I got my mic on now.
Oh, you got your mic on now? Are you mean your dance or you meaning?
I took off my glove a little while ago.
Okay. All right. You know, it looked like you was about to do a little moonwalk, even though before it was called the moonwalk, it was called the backsliding. But it looked like you're about to, you know, hit a high note, a hee high note, you know.
Yeah, I because my knees, man. You talking about?
Yeah. Well, and Berin Scott, it sound like your mic clipping a little bit. So I don't know if you want to give me a test before we get started.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
All right. Sound you're good. It just sounded like it was clipping a little bit. All right, family. So I want to say this again. Let's be respectful in the comment section. Let's be respectful if you hear something that you don't agree with. You know, sometimes we can be the worst critics among each other. Sometimes we just take the narrative way out of left field. That's not what we're going to do tonight. But we are going to cover a lot. And like I said, I'm going to just kind of like piece this together a little bit, kind of freestyle. But I'm going to show a clip here, and we're going to use this clip to get started with. Let me go ahead and bring this clip up. All right. So I may follow up with some other clips, but let's bring this clip up here. It was some things that was stated that, you know, I think it'd be a great discussion piece that we could go off of. Let's start with this first clip here.
This is where I'm starting now. Now, let me throw this out there.
Okay.
I'm not saying that the Jews we know today as Ashkenazi Jews are not Israelites. I know that Hebrew Israelite theology says they're not, that they are imposters, and they go so far as to say they are the synagogue of Satan mentioned in Revelation 2.
All right, so it's so much to unpack, family. All right, so I'm gonna pull some sources. We'll deal with the Ashkenazi discussion here in a little bit, but I want to start with a thing that he pointed out. Right, he stated that and kind of alluded to that the talking points of the synagogue of Satan started with the Hebrew Israelites, right? And the other thing that kind of I see happening a lot is referring to the Hebrew Israelites as if it's a religion. You know, being a Hebrew Israelite is not a religion. It's not a religion. It's an ethnicity. It's based upon bloodline. All right. So I just want to be clear. You know, I want to reiterate that point. Being a Hebrew Israelite is bloodline. So don't get sucked up into these discussions about, you know, comparing being a Hebrew Israelite to Christianity, to being a Christian. You have to make a distinction between the two when you're engaging in these conversations. So you have to reiterate that being an Israelite is not a religion. Okay? Being an Israelite is not predicated on whether you follow the laws, statutes, and commandments or not. You're still an Israelite. See, that's a lot of those spaces that many groups within the Christian Catholic Church, they will they'll come out with those type of talking points, right? So that's why I want to make it clear. I want to make sure we reiterate some points here. Being an Hebrew Israelite has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with ethnicity. Even Paul made it clear that he's an Hebrew Israelite out of the tribe of Benjamin. And he made it clear it's a bloodline, not a religion. All right. So those are some of the things I just wanted to kind of lay out. Before we get started, Berean Scholar, Sister Carol, any comments that you guys want to point out before we get started?
I agree. I agree fully with you. Hebrew Israelite is a ethnicity. Being a Christian, being a Jew or Jewish, being Muslim, being Buddhist, being anything that has something to do with a religious practice is someone who converted to that particular religious practice to become and be. But it has nothing to do with ethnicity.
Absolutely.
And you are not born a Christian. You are not born a Jew. You're not born a Muslim. That's something you decide to practice as a doctrine of religion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And real quick, I see someone made a comment. Being a Christian is racial as well. No, I'm not gonna do that.
No.
We're not gonna just post stuff that's not true. It's not racial. It's not a black and white thing, because you have Christianity is so many people Christians.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It is, whether it's in I've been overseas to Asia, many countries in Asia, and guess what? You see many Christians, you see many Catholics over there. Has nothing to do. Well, some will make it racial when you start getting into the evangelicals, certain groups, of course, but it's not racial, from that perspective. Now, of course, I see what the person is posting, because you see white Jesus. I understand that. And I understand your position, but I'm not going to get into the racial thing, because again, we do know that, you have certain groups that holds on to that. All right. But not all Christians believe that Christ was white. I'm just making that clear. That is a fact. All right. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. All right. So let's go and get into it. All right, let's get into it. And I'm going to say this. I'm not debating in the comment section, so we're not going to do that. If you want to debate in the comment section, being respectful, let's take it somewhere else. I'm not debating family trees here. All right, so I'm just making it clear. All right. All right, yeah, let me just go ahead and, I hate to do this, man, but I just don't even want to. You see, you know what I mean? It's like when people start trying to debate in the
Exactly.
comments. I don't have time for that. All right. And that's hijacking the narrative. Okay. So, but nevertheless, Berean Scholar, any comments you want to add real quick before we get started?
Both of y'all said the exact. Said the exact same thing. I'm words of confusion is just that the illusion that we have to come out of, and the Israelite, especially the Black Hebrew Israelite, those tags tell who we are. We are a bloodline. We are Israelites. There's a lot of Hebrews that are Israelites, but we have to be Israelite that are Hebrew.
Absolutely.
And there's no such thing as a Israelite/Jew. Just Israelite.
Absolutely. And we'll get into that, family. We'll get into that. It's a lot that we can unpack here. And that's one of the things that I see. Oh, let me plug now that answers why my hard drive wasn't working. I don't have my tablet here connected. Bear with me 1 second. If I can. There we go. I was like, why? I'm thinking something wrong with my hard drive, but I didn't have my tablet connected. All right, my docking station connected. All right, I'm being a user tonight, right? That's an inside joke among tech guys, right? The last thing you want to call someone that's really knowledgeable in the technology field is a user. But anyway,
one other thing, to someone in the comment who just got blocked, Jesus was not a Palestinian.
yeah.
Let's stop all this craziness.
Yeah.
I'm blocking anybody in chat who comes up with crazy stuff. I'm just letting you know. You're on notice.
Yeah. All right, family. So appreciate it, Sister Carol. So yeah, family, we're not going certain things we're not going to do is that. You know, it's easy to get caught up in all that other stuff. So let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple, family. All right, let's get started here. Let's go ahead and start with this. Go back to this clip here, family, and we're going to answer it with some clips. Let's start with it again. Let's play first Fred, Pastor Price's comments about the synagogue of Satan. And you'll hear how pretty much it's alluding to as if this is as he stated, Hebrew Israelite thing, so to speak. Well, let's go ahead and play it.
This is where I'm starting now. Now, let me throw this out there.
Okay.
I'm not saying that the Jews we know today as Ashkenazi Jews are not Israelites. I know that Hebrew Israelite theology says they're not, that they are imposters, and they go so far as to say they are the synagogue of Satan mentioned in Revelation 2.
So, family, let's go ahead and answer this question, right? Let's give clarity here. Let's see if there's any validity to what's being insinuated there, that the synagogue of Satan is something that's coming from within this awakening, that's festering and the roots taking root and started in this community. All right, so let's go ahead and answer this with a set of clips here. Here we go.
And my hope is in this sermon that you and other Christians will come to understand that the people reigning in Jerusalem today are the same ones reigning during Jesus' first coming. They are the Edomites that say they are Jews and are not, but lie. On X, no one is discussing who the synagogue of Satan is from Revelation chapter 2 and 3. No one's discussing who this group is. Now, you'll notice that we're not allowed to talk about ethnicities anymore. Have you noticed that?
The Bible speaks of a group referred to as the synagogue of Satan. But can we determine with Scripture who this group is? So the scriptures that I want to use to point out this topic are in the book of Revelation. So we know that the book of Revelation is speaking predominantly about end times things, and he's warning these churches of the end times. He's warning them of this. And this could actually be a warning for those times when this was actually being preached as well. But pay attention to this. So Revelation 2:9 says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. But the people that are living in Israel right now, or in Jerusalem, in that area right now, who practice Talmudic Judaism, come from the Ashkenazi tribe, who are descendants of Japheth through his son Gomer, and therefore they are not biblical Jews, meaning coming from the line of Shem or a Shemite.
I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. For you to say that those Jews are God's people, that Judaism is a godly religion, is blasphemy against the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. If your church has that hex flag, the Zionist doctrine, please warn them, speak to them in truth and in love.
And so when he's saying he's coming to redeem, while he would say, redeem Israel, O God, out of all their troubles. First thing they need to be redeemed at, more dangerous than Hamas, more dangerous than Muslim neighbors, are internal, these, and there's another biblical name, these who say they are Jews and are not.
I was going to ask you about that. In Revelation 3:8, I think, I was going to ask you that question. Does that refer to this time, or can it refer to this time?
It can. It's Revelation 3:9. Indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie.
Yeah.
And there's a different application for it, but we understand this is really there's a practical storyline I've shared before on a program maybe a year ago, I don't know, about the Khazarian mafia and the Khazarian Jews, and I'll just say the briefest understanding of it and how this applies to them, because
without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
You know, the DNA test that they've done on the Israelis that are living over there, they're Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews.
And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley.
The Khazarians, they are not Hebrews at all. I want you to look it up and educate yourself and understand that the majority of the people that live in the modern day state of Israel are actually Europeans, and they do not practice anything from the Bible. The majority of them are absolutely atheists.
All right, so now, is it just the Israelites that are teaching? Is it just the Israelites that are teaching that the synagogue of Satan, right? The 1948ers is what I refer to as the people that's occupying the territory. You know, I use that for a reason, 1948ers. All right. Now, with that being said, right, did that synagogue of Satan originate with the Hebrew Israelites, so to speak? Or is it more of a universal teaching that's coming from different areas? What do you guys think? I think I answered that with the clips. Now, I got other sources. I didn't have time to put that, add those sources here, but I do have a book that is titled Synagogue of Satan.
Yep.
And that book gives a lot of information to where it gave so much information that it, you know, one of my sources got banned. Remember, I had a whole video series on the Synagogue of Satan based on that book.
Yep.
And they literally gave me, they took the videos down and gave me strikes to go along with it.
Exactly.
See, family, if we're not careful, and this is what happens in like a lot of those spaces, like when we're dealing with Christianity, they really began to try to create a straw man. And that straw man is make the Hebrew Israelites into a religion. And then you just throw everything at it to see what would stick.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
So I just shared some clips. Now I got endless numbers of clips of Christian pastors calling the people over there stating that the 1948ers are not the people of the book. You even heard one pastor say that they're Edomites.
Correct.
Because normally when you hear or them talk about the Edomites and hey, they saying the people over there is being called Edomites. Oh, they got to be a camp.
Right.
Got to be someone in awakening.
And now the new thing, they're Canaanites.
Yeah, that's the new thing right now.
That's the new thing. Yeah.
But you guys see where I'm going at here. Many of these so-called talking points that many are using to try to create this straw man that's they already created, and now they can argue against it as if that is something that's isolated here. All right, so it's not. Now, any comments, Berean Scholar, Sister Carol? Any additional comments?
No, you right on the money.
I really said, Pastor, this is it's a straw man. Also, that there's a roadblock that a lot of people with this putting the us coming to awaken of who we are as a ethnicity, as a bloodline, as people, and trying to put us in a religion. And sometimes our who so-called teaches this awakening, they say things that confuse.
Your mic is clipping, Berean Scholar. Try turning your mic down just a little bit. Maybe I think your mic is clipping. Or is it just me, Sister Carol?
No, it's definitely him. It's going in and out.
Yeah, your mic is going in and out.
Let me try this. Does it sound better now?
Yes.
All right, you got to stop. You got to stop with the Dixie cup and string. You come a
And I've
long way.
upgraded. And I want you to know I've upgraded.
Okay. Sister Carol now she went from the Dixie cups to what? The plastic cups?
Yep.
But I bought her.
There you go again.
Yeah, you're going
you sound like
in
a
and out
robot
again.
again. Say what you get. See, you start kind of come at me. See,
Let me
So,
take it.
but anyway, family, but getting back to the point though, this is where we have to listen with intelligence and not allow our emotions get the best of us, because that's what many of them try to, when we dealing with a lot of these different spaces. And Sister Carol, Berean Scholar, you guys know I dealt with this for a long time, these certain groups out there, and really took things into the mud to make things nasty and ugly because of not being able to address the information. So again, and I'm not saying that about Pastor Price, just want to make that clear, but I am addressing what he said about the synagogue of Satan. So as we see here, family, that is not something that originated here in our community.
Correct.
That's being spoken right across the board. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did Candace Owens mention that she's a Hebrew Israelite as of yet?
I haven't heard it yet that I know of.
Not once.
And we heard her say to Rabbi Shmuley, she threw Revelation 2:9 on him.
Yep.
And she didn't use this. She didn't just use this in that one discussion. She's made reference to the synagogue of Satan several times in different videos.
Yes, she has.
All right. So family, that's why we have to listen with intelligence. All right. Now I'm going to bring in another clip here, something that is stated here. Let me see if I can bring it up here. And I'm gonna have to look for an old slide while I do this here. Yes, a lot of trolls, right?
Yeah.
And we don't. It looks from my end, don't look like we have a lot of people in the live tonight.
Because I got rid of all the trolls. You don't have anybody on the chat. They're all listening though.
Let's see here. Let's see here. What's the next one that we want to hit on? We'll double back on the Ashkenazis. We'll say that for last. But let's go to another thing here, family. Let me play this clip.
This is where my studies have taken me. I believe one of the sons from the union between Abraham and Keturah in Genesis 25, one of those sons is named Epher, E-P-H-E-R. Some spell his name as A-F-E-R, Afer, 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 Africa. And so I believe that through Abraham, the rest of Africa was populated.
All right, family. So you guys heard what he said about Afer. You know, almost like a little spin on KRS-One. Afer, Africa. KRS-One. Overseer, officer. You know, I'm in my hip hop mode tonight. But let me give you context to what he said. Right? I was trying to find one of my old presentations that I did, but I did find one of the sources here. Let's go ahead and address this here. All right, let me see here. It's a couple of things we can address. All right, yes, it's the very next slide. Let's go here. Because is he correct about what he just pointed out? You know, because he didn't give any sources, but I want to share with you guys some sources here, because some of you guys that have been following We Woke now for quite some time, I addressed this. One of the discussions that I even had even with Olaudah Equiana, right, about his autobiography of himself, he even talks about the name of Africa getting its name. He gives us, he points that out in a source that he used, but I'm going to take it a step further here. But how did Africa get its name? Let's see if Dr. Price is onto something here. The Etymology Dictionary definition of Africa, as we see here, says African land, Libya. All right, what's that? Carthaginian territory, the province of Africa, Africa as a continent. Then we see here of adjective Africus, from Afer, an African, a word of uncertain origin. All right, goes on to say it's gradually was extended to the whole continent. All right. So again, Africa as a continent, that's a quote from here. Feminine of adjective Africus, from afar, right? Did the Greeks create this name? Now, this is according to Josephus, right? Josephus is a historian that lived during the 1 AD, right? This is coming from Josephus, Antiquity of the Jews, book 1, chapter 15. Look at what he says here. He states that Abraham's sons by Keturah settled in Africa or in Arabia, possibly implying that Africa was named after them. Now let's go ahead and go to it here. Again, this is Josephus, right? He's an Israelite, also an historian. So it says here, the country of Africa took its name because these men were auxiliaries of Hercules when he fought against Libya and Ateas, and that Hercules married Afra, daughter, and of her he begat a son, Diodorus, and that Sophon was his son, from whom that barbarous people called Sophacians were dominated. All right. But it goes on to say here, and this is the key, Malchus, who wrote a history of the Jews in agreement with the history of Moses, their legislator, relates that there were many sons born to Abraham by Keturah. Nay, he names 3 of them, Afer and Surim and Japhron. That from Surim was the land of Assyria, dominated, and from that from the other 2, Afer and Japron, the country of Africa took its name. So according to Josephus, and I have another source, I just couldn't find it to put it in here, right? And again, Olaudah Equiana also mentioned this inside his autobiography. So according to Josephus, he's stating and pointing out that Africa name
came from, it's from this son, the name of Abraham's son by way of his wife Keturah. So Africa, according to what I just shared with you, is a Shemitic name. And you guys know I brought this up a number of times. I know many will go to Akibulan and some of the other names, and I'm not getting into debates about that, but we have a source that's from the 1st century, right? That is that is making, that is clear that that name Africa comes from the descendant of Abraham. All right. So what do you think, guys?
You're right. You taught this before.
I
And
was going to go ahead, sis.
no, go ahead.
I'm like you, it'll take a witness. I'm gonna take a person who was there or was closer to being the time where it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, thanks for the super chat, Joseph DeLion. That's the point I argue with Christians that I go out, feed and minister with on the streets. It's not a religion, and One West is a doctrine. Gotcha. Hallelujah. Appreciate you. And thank you for the super chat and family. Let's show some love for Joseph DeLion. All right. Go ahead, guys. Sorry about that.
No, we just said
right.
that, like you said, mentioning Josephus is correct because he was there.
Yeah, he was a historian that was going on during that time period and was documenting the events and the people that was happening during this time period up through Christ.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, family, I shared with you a source from a noted historian about the name Africa. And oftentimes I use that. Sister Carrie, you know this from the past, that when, for example, we got some brothers and sisters that's in this awakening that can kind of like take a supremacist approach when you mention the name Africa and associate it with Israel.
Right. Absolutely.
Israel is in what is called Africa of today. We know that landmass went through a number of names. It was also called Ethiopia. It was called Egypt. Whatever's the dominant society, tend to, the name tend to connect with or is used rather.
Right.
So, but here we just gave you a source from the 1st century about the name Africa. All right. Yeah, the trolls are really out here, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just had to put someone out here. They out here.
According to the cartographer who wrote the map, that person may be from England, or if he's from Greece, the name's gonna change too.
Exactly.
What map you see? Because you go to the old maps, you can see different names. That's cartographer's language.
Now, for the most part, when you get to like the 17th century, those older maps, you'll see Ethiopia.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
So, but again, it went through a number of names, family. That's the point that we want to make here. And so when you look here about, as I asked this question, is the original name Akibulan? That's what many will default to, right? But European explorers and historians from the Greek and Roman periods did not mention Akibulan as the name of the continent. Instead, names such as Ethiopia, Libya, or Ifriqa or Ifriqiya were commonly used. So I'm just giving you some history here. All right. While Akibulan is sometimes presented as the original indigenous name of Africa, no concrete historical evidence confirms it was widely used across the continent. So is the PH or F sound original to the name Africa? Now that's just getting some additional information, but it's not. So when the PH sound, it was introduced in the ancient Hebrew, right? Excuse me, is that the question? Yeah, I got this an old presentation I copied over to here. So when was the PH sound or the sound introduced in ancient Hebrew? The Israeli pay or that's getting into some other stuff. I'm not trying to go down the language point path here. That's what I was doing here. All right, let me fast forward here, family. Oh yeah, but just so that way you guys know, the PH sound in ancient Hebrew is a later development that came through Greek and Europeans. Right? So when you hear that PH or F sound, that's not an original sound. All right? That's what this is saying here. Okay? But the other thing that we see, some of the things that we see that many struggle with, Sister Carol, you alluded to earlier about the word Jew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you listen to what Dr. Price mentioned, right? Because in his, and I didn't put it all here, in that interview, he really made some comments about basically about Israel being diverse.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they mingle with all these different groups.
Yeah, exactly. Intermarried.
Now, I
Basically
will
what he
say
says.
this, family. When you really study the scriptures, right, you have what is called the mixed multitude. And the mixed multitude was identified. Israel identified, for the most part, those that was mixed with other groups among them. But when we start really understanding who's who, what makes an Israelite, right? It starts with the father.
Always.
The father determines bloodline Israelites. Well,
right.
we can prove that. Numbers chapter 27, verse 8 through 11. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a man die, and we could go to Numbers chapter 1 and also Numbers chapter 2 as well. But look at this. If a man die and have no son, then ye shall cause his inheritance to pass unto his daughter. And if he had no daughter, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his brethren. And if he have no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his father's brethren. And if his father has no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his kinsman that is next to him of his family, and he shall possess it. And it shall be unto the children of Israel a statute of judgment, as Yahweh commanded Moses. All right, so that's one of the things that we tend to see, especially when we start getting into those spaces of Christianity, especially when they try to come at the Israelites. They'll use those type of arguments of stating that, well, Israel, they'll default to the northern kingdom as if the northern kingdom got totally absorbed by the Assyrians. That's not true. Many of them didn't return back to Jerusalem, but guess what? Let's just remove the northern kingdom from there. Nehemiah makes it clear that there was a remnant of all the tribes that occupied Jerusalem. Let me say that again. Nehemiah makes it clear that there was a remnant of all the tribes that occupied Jerusalem. Every tribe was represented in the capital of Israel at that time, which was Jerusalem. Identity goes through the Father. And I know that could be a hard pill to swallow for many. Identity goes through the Father. And if we take this approach as if all the Israelites was mixing and mingling, then the scriptures is now a lie. Because there's a distinction, family, between the mixed multitude versus the bloodline Israelites. Let me say this again. Someone pointing made a comment. God said it's not part of Africa. Show me the scripture. Show me where the scripture says that Israel is not connected to Africa. I just want to know what the scripture is. Israel is not all of Africa. Israel is in Africa, just like Egypt is in Africa. Ethiopia is in Africa. Libya is in Africa. And if you want to go further with that Fertile Crest that they tried to create to remove the so-called Arabic territories away from Africa, all of that was part of Africa. India was actually East Ethiopia. So just want to make sure we're on the same page. Any comments, guys?
No,
When I look
you
at
absolutely.
science itself, and I did a video on that. Science shows you where the Garden of Eden was. It was there in Africa.
Now, that's right, Canaan. Canaan is Africa. And you know, it's interesting how suddenly these, at one time, the same Europeans that came up with the Hamitic hypothesis by saying that Ham was black, now all of a sudden, now we're seeing those same communities that fall up under Ham, now all of a sudden they're Caucasians. Have you guys noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so all of a sudden, all Hamitic people are now more and more becoming Caucasians.
Exactly.
Starting with the Canaanites. How did the Canaanites now become
These people.
Europeans?
Exactly.
Have you guys noticed that in the chat? If you guys noticed that, type 1, that more and more you see people now all of a sudden saying that the Canaanites are Caucasians. Have you guys noticed that? Type 1 if you noticed that. That's right. They constantly moving the goalposts. And what's sad about it is many of us start echoing those same talking points without any sources. All right. All right. Let's see. What other? I got some videos here, family. And I'm gonna load another video of what Dr. Price pointed out, and I'm going to commend him for this right here. Let's play what he said about his DNA.
Bro, I've done my own historical DNA. I'm not talking about 23andMe and Ancestry. I'm talking about ancient DNA. There are products out there where you can go back further than what 23andMe and Ancestry can take you. And dude, I did mine. And I've got tribe of Judah in me. I've got Hebrew in me. My ancient DNA says I'm 45% Semitic.
All right, family. So that's what that's one of the clips out of the interview. Now, this is a clip of Dr. Price revealing his DNA to his assembly. Now, if you want to watch the full video is on We Woke Now and is under I believe it's the lecture. I can't remember. But we'll try to post it inside the chat so that way you can watch the full video. But this is Dr. Price sharing his DNA with his assembly.
This is the tribe that the lion comes from. Now I'm showing you two images here because what this test does is, it's really detailed, and they'll show you your similarity with certain persons that they have found from ancient days. Some of the names, they just have named them because they didn't know what their names were. But I want to show you this. It says, of my average genetic similarity to the tribe of Judah, 21%. Dan, 2%. Zebulun, 6%. Levi, 12%. I believe I have similarity to Simeon too, but I can't find that image. But of Judah, 21%. Of the remaining tribes, it was all less than 1%. But it says my highest genetic similarity is with a woman by the name of Nekah from the tribe of Judah. And that's a 40% similarity. Okay, so I have DNA evidence that I'm an Israelite. Now watch this. You think I'm the only one in this room?
All right. Any responses, guys?
You cut him off right before he was going to stir some stuff up. You think I'm in this room?
Yeah, you know, it's a lengthy clip, so you know how it goes when you put these clips together. You try.
Yeah.
I try to keep it simple, but yeah, some of the clips can be pretty lengthy. Any comments, guys?
I just find it kind of contradictory that he says that in his congregation, he's sharing his DNA, and then gets on this podcast and trying to say that they're all mixed up other people, and you have other ethnicities who are also Israelites, and everybody's Israelite. And then, but go back and say, but the Israelites are black and brown. So either they are or they're not. There's no such thing that everybody can be Israelite.
Okay. And Berin Scholar, any comments?
She hit on the nail. She hit the nail on the head right there. DNA said if my family is one thing, everybody in my family is gonna be the same thing. Those phenotypes goes throughout the DNA train.
And family, that's the key to when you start understanding DNA, right? One of the misunderstandings, and Sister Kara, I know this is your area because you the professor when it comes to the medical stuff. You know, that's your area. I don't try to pretend that that's my strong point. You know, even though I'm familiar with a lot of things, but it doesn't make me an expert in that area. But according to DNA, when you start really understanding the DNA, it is impossible for the father, the man, to have multiple haplogroups.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
The haplogroup, right? And family, hear me out on this. If you guys don't understand this, E1, we'll just say E. E represents a region.
Mm-hmm.
And that region was initially Northeast Africa.
Correct.
Right? Now, the way that things are being drawn up because of these 1948ers, because of what they're trying to do, more and more pushes away from the Northeast, right? By 10 years, what probably about 10 to 15 years after they created the E, because the first haplotype that was agreed and approved by the commission was the E.
Mm-hmm.
And in that haplogroup identified the Negroes that was discovered in the caves of what is called Galilee and Nazareth. The territories now that, some of the territories of Israel family. So they created J about 15 years later. They created that whole haplogroup and start trying to what? Use that as a way of trying to minimize and push E out the window. Thus, the issue that they tried to stir up with the limba. When actually the limba, this is why they didn't want to give them their results, their final results, because they kept trying to force them into the J, when actually the limba is E. But going back to my main point, you cannot have multiple haplogroups coming from a single father.
Correct.
If you have multiple haplogroups, then you're going to have to bring Maury Povich into it. We're going to have to, play some clips of "You Are Not the Father." This is when they start coming up with this so-called Kohanim modal group, stating that they have the haplogroup that is the so-called Levitical priests. All right. Just want to say for those that I see caps, if you can remove your caps, because your caps, what happens is when you understand the etiquettes with caps is like equivalent to yelling.
Correct.
So if you could type without all the caps. That'll help with the chat. All right. So if you could remove your caps and type in, lowercase, that'll help us tremendously. So again, family, and I got the sources. I'm going to bring the sources up here, right? In a second here, I just got to bring it all in because I'm going to give you sources that when you start trying to identify, for example, a priest gene, then that's saying that the Levites had a different Y haplogroup than the rest of the brothers. Levi had a different haplogroup than the 11 brothers. That is genetically impossible, coming from the same father. Only way you can have multiple haplogroups among the father, right, is if you have converts or adoptions, or simply put, someone hijacking, someone not being honest, right?
Right.
Somebody not being honest. What's that old saying?
Exactly.
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Someone wasn't being honest about who they were interacting with. So I want to make sure you guys understand, when you understanding DNA, right? Haplogroups, right? The haplogroups, right, come through the men. But when you really want to get into the mitochondria DNA, now you start focusing on the women. Am I right, Sister Carol?
That's right.
All right. So, family, that's why I want to make sure you guys understand that when you start really getting into the DNA, it's easy to address these things. When especially when we start dealing with the so-called diversity, because when he mentions diversity, is mentioning all these people groups that many Israelites had children. He mentioned a lot of groups. So why is that only applied to the Israelites? Why isn't that applied to the Greeks? Why is that not applied to the Romans? You notice when it comes to the Israelites, that's where you start hearing, along with the Egyptians, that's where you start hearing this diversity.
Right.
Now, family, you heard me say this, ruddy. Ruddy doesn't mean light skin, family. Ruddy means dark skin. All of us come in different shades of ruddy. But when we look at it from a medical perspective, Sister Carol, you could give clarity on that. It means healthy skin.
Correct. Fleshy, healthy skin.
So, family, just to make sure you guys understand this, and we're not getting caught up and get tossed to or fro with every wind of doctrine. That's the basics of DNA. Right? And so again, an Israelite is determined by who? The father. Now we know that, for example, Joseph, let's just deal with Joseph. Joseph had children by an Egyptian woman.
Correct.
But it made his children Israelites because he is their father.
Correct.
If it was reversed, then they would be recognized as Egyptians.
Exactly.
But if they were dwelling among Israelites and operating in the culture, then many of them will be referred to as Israelite-ish. Uh-oh. Now we adding some additional things, right? Having the characteristics, having the what? Studying and practicing the culture. That's what the ish means. You do have a situation in the scriptures of someone being referred to as Israelite-ish, Moabite-ish. Yeah, Ruth in chapter 2 is described as being Moabite-ish. Yeah, not being a blood descendant of the Moabites, but she's what? Practicing the culture of the Moabites. That's why you see the ish at the end. Anyway, any comments, guys?
You rolling.
Yeah, keep going, brother.
So I'm going to play this clip here, And Sister Carol, you hit on a number of different things, and I want to make sure, guys, you guys understand this, because if you don't, you're going to get tossed to or fro with every wind of doctrine. Let me see here. Yeah, let me see here. But this is something right here, real quick. Veronica, what's this? Veronica Torres. There's a
Torres.
guy called Rich Tidewell who was trying to say the Europeans with haplo J was the lost tribe, which I totally disagree, and saying haplogroup E is Hamite. And see, to that question, and that's why I really don't like the DNA technology, even though I used it, because I got challenged. Me and my cousin got challenged years ago. Sister Carol, you remember, they were saying, hey, if you are truly an Israelite, take a DNA test.
Right.
Took a DNA test, and it said that of course, it came back saying I'm Jewish, but then took multiple DNA tests. Right? They didn't like that. Right? So then all of a sudden, you can't trust the DNA. But again, when we get this guy, Rich Tidewell, Tidwell, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He, not trying to throw shade at him, but he's all over the place. He's all over the place. Of course, he refers to the Ashkenazis as being Edomites, but yet he's saying that they're Japheth. How can you be an Edomite? That means that you are what? Shemitic.
Correct.
He's all over the place, but I get it though. But that J haplogroup, was created for us and approved like almost 15 years after the very first haplogroup that was established, which is E, which stood for Northeast Africa, that territory. But gradually they started pushing the E out of that territory. Think about the game plan. They renamed Northeast Africa and called it the Middle East. So they're constantly developing a way to completely remove us from that territory and label the Middle East as like it's not part of East Africa, like it's its own area, even though it sits on the same tectonic plate. So they came up with the label Levant, right? Levant is like a 15th century title. They came up with the term Fertile Crest. All these labels to try to isolate these key areas. All right, but I totally agree with you. Yeah, he's all over the place. Not trying to throw any shade, but he is all over the place. I have to agree with you on that, because I listened to even the clip I played, and I couldn't even play the whole thing. Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
Ask you a question. Is this what's his name? Tidewell?
Yeah, Tidewell. A Tidehill or Tidewell.
Is he an Israelite? Because he said he's calling them synagogue of Satan. Not just that one clip you played, but he got about
he got a whole lot of
videos saying calling them synagogue of Satan. He's an Israelite.
Absolutely. And let me say this real quick. Please do not post comments that the Canaanites were black and white.
Yeah.
For starters, those racial constructs didn't exist back at that time. All right. There's no, back then everything was bloodline. And going back to my point about us being dark, melanated people, we come in all kinds of shades, not color.
Yes.
Yes.
We all are dark, but we come in different shades of dark. Berean Scholar?
I found it hard. Excuse me, Beth.
You want to say something, Berean Scholar?
I find it interesting that the scientific community have an it's easy for them to accept that the original man was dark melanated. They look at it and say, okay, they're dark melanated. The original European, dark melanated. Oh, the original Japanese, dark melanated. They have no problem finding it. In fact, there's an article saying the white mutation didn't come along to like 3,000 years ago. Most people at that time was dark melanin, where man arrived from. It was near the equator.
Exactly. Exactly. So now you get into that recessive gene. But to that point, yeah, you hit it right on the nail. You can't get away from it, family. We cannot get away from it. Sister Carol,
Yes, sir.
I was just saying if you had anything you want to share.
Oh, no. You're good.
Now I'm trying to look for this presentation because it's another thing I want to address here. Let me play another clip from him. This clip is a little longer, a little lengthier, and we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna try to find this the presentation. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Let me go ahead and bring this up. It was a lot with this clip, man. Let me see here. All right, let me unmute it. Let me know if you guys can hear this. All right.
So, Acts 13.
Can you guys hear that?
Yes.
All right. All right, family. So we're going to try this again. Here we go.
So, Acts 13. Let's go with like the first 5 or 6 verses. The scripture says there were certain prophets and teachers, and then it starts to list them. Now, after the list is given, the scripture says, separate unto me Saul and Barnabas. But there's some names given before that. 3 names. I'm gonna start with the last name first. Manaen. Manaen was someone who grew up with Herod's family. So odds are he was an Edomite. And you've probably heard the view of Hebrew Israelites on Edomites. I'm going to say they're partly right and partly wrong.
Okay.
But we can get to that later.
Okay.
It's the first 2 names that stand out. It's crazy. The first is a man named Niger. His name is Simon, but they say Simon called Niger. And Niger means black.
Yes.
So this man was black.
Yes.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the term negus, Negus.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's an Ethiopian term of nobility.
Yes.
You see how it got perverted.
Yes.
We don't even need to say the word
Yes.
that clearly came from that word, right? So that it's Niger in a sense is another way that you could say that. And we're familiar with the African nation of Niger.
Yes.
Right? Niger means black. All right. So remember, 3 names are listed. The last name is Manaen. The first name is Niger. The next name is Lucius. That don't sound Hebrew to me. That sounds Latin.
Yeah.
Bro, Lucius means white. Is it a coincidence, Ezekiel? One who's named after the prophet. Is it a coincidence that the scripture says there were teachers and prophets in the land, and the first 2 names are black and white? Niger, Simon.
Oh man.
Or Simon or Simeon. I think it's Simeon.
Yes, I mean, yes.
Called Niger and Lucius. Literally. You can read it like this.
That's so beautiful.
You can read it like this. There were certain prophets and teachers, black and white.
Oh my goodness. All right. Oh my goodness. I just
Well.
I have to give this here. This
That was a lot.
all right.
He was all over the place.
Let me unpack this, family.
Yes,
please
please
do.
Please do.
First, let me give you guys the original pronunciation of the word that is pronounced Niger. Here it is.
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Strong's G 3526. Niger. Strong's G.
Stop that. All right. That is the proper pronunciation. You can go to Google right now if you guys choose to. Open up another browser and type in
Strong's G. 3526. Niger.
all right, Strong's G 2536. You could go to the Blue Letter, whatever, whether it's the Blue Letter Bible or whatever. You could go to one of these sites and then click that sound icon, and you can hear exactly how it's pronounced. All right. Now,
yep.
I want to unpack this here. Let me see if I could find this presentation. I accidentally overwrote it. Let me overwritten it with something. I mean, I did it accidentally, right? I got to blame Sister Carol for that happening. I did it just before I went live. I was like, oh, I saved it and I can't undo. So I got to blame Sister Carol. But let me see if I could bring it up here. I'm going to give you guys the floor while I try to search for this here. All right. Any comments, guys, as we get ready, as I look for this presentation?
I need to make a comment to
Gloria. Go ahead, sis.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to say, go ahead.
No, I was going to make a comment to this young lady in chat, Gloria Ya 7425. She has a question regarding, making a statement rather. If a man is an Israelite descendant and has a child with any woman who is not an Israelite, that child is considered an Israelite, equals two descendant children of two Israelite parents. It'll be Israelite parent because his wife is not an Israelite. Remember, the child is coming from the father's seed. So it's like all of us have a last name for my sir, for my father, to identify you as his. All children come from the father's seed. It's incubated in the mother's egg in her womb. But in order to do that, you have to have your father's seed. So those are his children. So all children come from the father. Whomever he implants becomes what he is. It's biology. Just want to let you know that.
All right, men. All right, did I find it?
To add to this, sis, we know that certain people try to say that it depends on the mother, but biblically, it's the father.
No, it does not depend upon the mother. Mother does not carry seed. She carries the egg for the seed to implant.
There are certain religions out there that say that.
Oh, yes. I know, but I want to make that clear.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I want to make that clear. Biology-wise, no woman can create a seed. She only can carry the seed of what's been implanted inside her egg. Only men carry children to be created.
And you hit it on the nail, sis. Now, guys, let me copy this over real quick. Let me see how far down I need to go. All right, and we'll deal with the Negus word as well, but we'll first unpack it with what he just pointed out. It's a lot to unpack. Let me see here. All right, let me copy this over. Hopefully this is the right one. If not, I have to search for another presentation. Let's see.
And while you're doing it, I'm pulling up the scripture myself, man. Everybody in church be doing the same thing. Acts 13, verse 1.
Yeah.
Because we're not gonna believe what somebody say. We're gonna read the word for ourselves and see what it says true.
There we go. Now, family, let me walk you guys through here, right? And we'll deal with we'll double back on Negro, but in a second here. But I want to start with dealing with this other stuff, right? And this is where it can really um, um, you know, throw a lot of confusion, place a lot of confusion into what we know about the scriptures. So let's go to Acts, right? And I want to show you guys something here, because of course we see here Simeon's name. It says here, Niger, Latin origin, black, and then we see Niger, a Christian, right? And this is where a lot of the confusion could come into play, because does it make sense for them to say to an Israelite, okay, Simeon, you're black? It really doesn't make sense to me, but nevertheless, let's just go unpack this here, because when we really unpack this word Niger, you'll start understanding, family, how it's connected to Negus, because Negus is a Shemitic word, but Negus is also connected to Nagid or Nagad, which means it's a title. But we see here surname of the prophet Simeon. When did they have surnames? Berean scholar, when did they have surnames back at that time?
That's a new one me. I was it when I saw that I laughed. Surname.
Family, this will be a title from a Hebraic school of thought. Because he's a leader, Nagad, Nagid. We'll get to that here in a second, family, but I want to just let's unpack this. Let's first, we see Simeon. He's a Hebrew, right, family? And as you see, his name is what? One in the Greek, it says the name of 5 Israelites. We see Simeon, Simon. So he is an Israelite, period. Okay?
Right.
And it says here, the second son of Jacob by Leah, one of Abraham's descendants. Number 3, the one who took the infant Jesus in his, in his arms in the temple, baby father Jesus. Number 4, a teacher at the church of Antioch. So they are acknowledging that Simeon is a what? Hebrew. And he's a what? Negro. Now, many in the church don't teach that he's an Israelite. He is a Hebrew.
Correct.
His title from a Hebraic school of thought would be Nagad, which is what? Captain, which is leader. That's the same title that King David had, King Saul had, even Zerubbabel, King David's great-grandson or whatever. Then we see here the original name of Peter the Apostle. Okay? So Simeon is a Hebrew Israelite name, period. Okay? Every text where the name Simeon is used, it's referring to an Israelite. So he's an Israelite, period. Was Simeon an Israelite? I just proved it. Was Simeon a proselyte? The key verse that proves this, that Simeon is an Israelite, but actually it should have been Barnabas. Barnabas is an Israelite as well, is here. Let's go to here, because we already answered Simeon. But look at Barnabas. And when the Judeans were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Shabbat. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Judeans and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of Yahweh. The next day, or should I say the next Shabbat day, came almost the whole city together to hear the word of Yahweh. So it was the non-blood descendants of Israel, right, who was coming to the Mashkan asking to be taught on the Shabbat. Paul and Barnabas, Israelites, right? So verse 1 says, Barnabas, Simeon, Lucius, and Manaen were prophets and teachers. Barnabas was a Hebrew. Simeon was a Hebrew. Guess what? Lucius is a Hebrew. But the issue here is taking this name and making it into white.
Exactly.
And he said Manaen is a what? Edomite.
Correct.
Okay, let's unpack this. We prove Simeon is a Hebrew name, but what about the others? Are there any proof that Barnabas, Simeon, and Lucius and Manaen were Israelites? All right, let's go back to Barnabas. Acts chapter 4, verse 36. And Joseph, who was by the apostles, was surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of consolation, a Levite of the country of Cyprus. So we just proved that Barnabas is what? An Israelite. He's a Levite.
Israelite.
A Levite.
The tribe of Levite.
And a famous name among the Levites is called Phineas.
Right.
Phineas is defined as Phineas the Negro. Anyway, so we see Barnabas is an Israelite. Did we just prove it, family? He's of the Levites and make it no family, Cyprus. Okay. Now, Lucius of Cyrene, he was an Israelite. And we go to Acts chapter 2, verse 5 and 6. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Judeans, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now, when this was noise abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded because that every man heard them speak in his own language. So we have Israelites coming from what? All over the place.
Right.
Look at when we go down to verse 7 through 10. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how we hear every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born. Parthians, Medes, Elamites, and the dwellers of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, in Egypt. But look at what it says here. And in the parts of Libya about Cyrene. And strangers of Rome and of Rome, Judeans and proselytes. All right. So Cyrene, there's Cyrene again. Cyrene, let's break this down. So there is another key Israelite man from Cyrene. Matthew chapter 27, verse 32. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. They won't tell you that that man was an Israelite. Am I right, Berean scholar? They'll say the man that carried the cross for Jesus was a Negro.
Bro.
He was a black man, but they won't tell you he was an Israelite because Simon is the same name as Simeon.
Correct.
Cyrene, right? That's a key area, right?
Yep.
So Barnabas was from Cyprus. Lucius was from Cyrene, or Lucius was from Cyrene. Are there any proof that there were Israelites in Cyprus? So I got to prove this, right? Let's go back to Acts chapter 11, verse 19 and 20. Now, they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenice and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but who? Is that a mic drop? To Judah only.
To who?
But isn't that the reason why they came?
Correct me. Did I make a mistake? What does it say? They preached only to who?
Judah.
Isn't that the reason? Isn't that the reason why they came there? Was to talk to Judah, talk to the Israelites?
Exactly.
I just want to make sure I'm
come on, family.
What this is all about? That they were given a charge to go talk to the Negroes. who went off to the other islands in place to get them back straight and come from among the Greeks who they were following and doing their ways. So it was Israelites talking to Israelites.
And family, this completely obliterates this generic understanding of Matthew 28:19. That Christ just told his disciples, just go to anybody, go to all the world and baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
No, they were going to Israelites that are scattered.
That's right.
Look at here, family. Let me read it again. You open up your Bibles. We're having Bible study.
We're
having Torah study tonight. Open up Acts chapter 11, verse 19. And look at what it says. Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenice, Cyprus, and Antioch, preaching the word to none but Judah only.
That's it.
These areas are where Israelites was.
Correct.
Come on, family. There's something special about you, Judah. Can't water this down, right? So let's continue here. And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching Adonai Yahweh. In other words, the Lord Jesus is what it transliterates to. But it says, and some of them were men of Cyprus, Cyrene, which then they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians. So this is telling us that these are Israelites. It's preaching Christ to the Israelites. But we got to see what this word Grecian is, right? Because we see here, spake unto the Grecians. Who are the Grecians? Well, let's look at the definition of the word Grecians. Look at this here. Hellenists or Greek-speaking Jews or Judah, Yahweh, Israelites. Because they're speaking who? To Israelites, to Judah only. Oh, well, we're knocking this thing down. We didn't even get to Jew or Gentile.
Come on,
so we identified that they were going directly to Israel only. Okay, all right. Look at here. One who imitates the manner and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. B, entry B, sub-entry B, used in the New Testament of Israelites in foreign lands and speaking Greek.
Wow. That right there resonates big time. Aren't we doing that right now?
Yes, it does.
We got Greek fraternities who want to talk Greek and act Greek with the Greek letters, but the Israelites. Just visualize that.
Sister Carol, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I cannot hear Pastor.
It's like your mic is clipping sometimes.
Okay, now I hear you. You went out. Well, I changed mics.
All right. I think it's on your end, Berean Scholar. You may have to unplug and plug up again. Because you're clipping. So. This is the first time I've ever heard you clip like this. All right. So
go ahead.
I'm seeing a comment here. Let's see here. Just like Paul, his name was never changed to Saul. That's right. His name wasn't changed.
Right.
You know, when you start understanding the culture, many of them went under different names under the Romans. He ain't never changed his name. Paul was a Benjamite. That's right. Out of the tribe of Benjamin. Right. And Paul never professed to be a Christian. He said he was a follower of the way.
Right.
But you won't see the word Christian in any of his letters.
No.
You will not see Paul mention the word Christian in any of his letters. He was a follower of the way. But anyway, family, let's get back to this here. So far, we didn't identify that we're dealing with Israelites here in Antioch. But now I have to answer this other one, right? Because, Dr. Price did say that Manaen was more than likely an Edomite, right?
Yeah, that part.
Because as we see here, Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod, was an Israelite. He and Herod was like basically childhood buddies. But remember, you had Edomites living among the Israelites. But let me continue. Let's go to Acts chapter 13 and 1. Let's see here again. We see here Manaen. It says here, Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch. It's gonna be Tetrarch. Excuse me, butchering it here. All right. So was Manaen an Israelite or was he an Edomite? Let me ask that question. Was Manaen an Edomite or was he an Israelite? I think I should put that interaction inside the chat. Yeah, let me put that in the chat, fam. Let's see if what you guys have to say about this. And we're going to answer the question. All right, let's post this real quick here. Was Manaen an Israelite or a Edomite? Let me go here real quick. All right, I may not be able to go to it real quick because my stuff is moving slow. All right, let's try this one more time. All right, and when it's moving slow like this, it means that they may block me.
It
All
definitely
right, let me
mess with
close
me.
this out. Don't need that open. All right. All right. Well, family in here. All right. Let me try one more time. If not, we'll just keep it moving. Let me see. All right. It came up over here. All right. So let's go ahead and let's put this question inside the chat. All right. Was Manaen, oops, let me put the, and I want to say this, family, for those that want to contribute to the ministry, Cash App holds up my account, so I can't do the Cash App. But if you want to contribute, I'll see if I could post a Patreon link if you want to contribute to the ministry and assist us in what we do. I will post my Patreon account there. Even if you want to just do the minimum, and I have the set minimum there. I didn't do like others and have these different tiers of $5, $20, $50. I don't do all of that. Whatever you want to contribute, I'll put the bare minimum there that's required. All right, but let me see here. Let me see here.
I just put your Patreon link in there, Pastor.
Appreciate it, Berean Scholar. Appreciate it. Who was Manaen? Israelite, Edomite. All right, there we go. All right, so you have the question there, family. We're going to take a poll here. All right. So was Manaen an Israelite, Edomite, or some other ite? So we got more than enough people here. We should be able to get some participation here. We should be able to get at least 100 votes here. That'll be at more of an accurate sample. Right now we have 14. All right, so far we have 88% says Israelite, 4% says Edomite, and 8% says some other ite. All right. Right now we have 30 votes. If we could get it to 100, it takes no time, family. It doesn't cost you anything. All right, just a moment of your time just to hit the clicker. All right, so we have 34, but so far, majority of you guys are saying Israelites. 9% Edomite, 5% some other ite, a Houstonite.
That's right.
All
watch
right.
out from then.
All right.
H-Town, baby.
So we
H-Townite.
crossed over 50 votes. All right. So that's getting better. So far, the numbers are still holding. 87% Israelite, 9% Edomite, and 4% some other ite. You know, I had to add that in there, right? Give them an out, right? All right. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and answer the question. Don't want to prolong it here. Let's answer the question. All right. Was Manaen an Israelite? Let's go to Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, page 565. And let's see what he says here. Paragraph 5. Now there was one of these Essenes, or Essens, however you want to pronounce it, whose name was Manaen. Wait a minute. So it says Manaen was a what? Essene, or Essene. Let me read it again. Now there was one of these Essenes or Essens whose name was Manaen, who had this testimony that he not only conducted his life after an excellent manner, but had the foreknowledge of future events given him by God also. This man once saw Herod when he was a child and going to school, and saluted him as king of the Jews. But he, thinking that either he did not know him or that he was in jest, but put him in mind that he was but a private man. But Manaen smiled to himself and clapped him on the backside of it with his hand and said, however that be, thou wilt be king and will begin the reign happily, for God finds thee worthy of it. But look at this here. According to Josephus, Manaen was an Essene, or Essen, however you want to pronounce it. Now let's see what the Essenes are. Let's see who these people are. Let's go to Josephus, the works of Josephus, complete and unabridged. Look at what he says here. At this time, there were 3 sects among Judah who had different opinions concerning human actions. The one was called the sect of the Pharisees, and the other sect of the Sadducees, and the other sect of who? The Essenes. The Essenes or Essenes. Wait a minute. So the Essenes, they are who? They're a group of Israelites.
Yep.
Okay.
You pulled a witness from another Israelite.
Another Israelite bearing witness, saying that he is an Israelite. He didn't say he was an Edomite. He said he was an Israelite, and the sect of Israelites he was connected to was the Essenes. Did we just prove that? So Manaen was Essen, and Essens are Essenes. Manaen was an Essen, and Essenes are Israelites. Okay. So Barnabas, Simeon, Lucius, Manaen, they all were Israelites. Now, the thing that Pastor Price stated was Lucius' name means white. You know, luminous. How did that get to skin complexion? Brent Scott, look like you can say something. I see you got
No,
the you got
I'm holding back.
you got that
I'm
you got
holding
that
back the laughter.
okay, because you got that that what's that car, the 98s? You got that 98 lean right now.
Yeah, leaning back when you said that. I said,
You got that.
wow.
Did we just prove that all of these guys are Israelites?
With
So
several
how
sources.
can we take someone because they have a name? Remember, they Hellenized, right? The Grecians were Hellenized, right? How can you take the name Lucius and say that this person is Caucasian because of his name? Even though those constructs didn't exist at that time. Any comments, guys?
That delusion is strong in our people, and well, I know it's a mistake because our educational systems, if you want to call them that. In fact, today, if anybody on this chat would Google Josephus, you're gonna see a picture of a white man in a turban.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the picture you have up, Pastor. I mean, but they couldn't do that. But Josephus was an Israelite, and like you said, that name Lucius is still an Israelite. Paul was born in Syria, in Tarsus, in the area of Rome.
And let me give
And
some shout
our
outs
teachers
here.
today try to tell you that they're white.
Exactly. Let's see here. Eric says, appreciate your teaching, Pastor Kelly. Erica, excuse me. My apologies. We're gonna blame Berean Scholar on me mispronouncing your name. But thank you, Erica Ritchie, for the super chat. Appreciate your teachings, Pastor Kelly. And then we have another super chat here. I always butcher the name here. What is this, Sister Carol? You still there, Sister Carol?
Yes, I'm sorry. I had a phone call come in. Sorry about that.
What's his name here?
Bertrand.
Oh man, I don't know why I want to pronounce it somewhere else. Okay, anyway. Bertrand, my apologies.
This is every weekend we
I
go through
always
this.
do this, right? I don't know why I always think it's like Bert and I don't know why.
No, it's not okay. It's
I
not
know,
okay.
I know. I'm sorry,
No, I'm
Bertrand.
I'm talking to the people in the chat.
Okay, all right. My apologies, Bertrand. Blame Sister Carol. And fire.
See. We can make the H-Town come out, okay?
All right. Thank you, and fire,
Mr.
for the
Bertrand,
love
that
and
came through my
support.
mind.
Really
Let the Texan
appreciate
come out
all
of
you
me.
guys. Really appreciate all you guys. And all right. So we proved that all these guys are Israelites. So Simeon wasn't called the title. Let me play this here. I like to do it this way because you know how YouTube do. Simeon wasn't called the title
Strong's G 3526. Niger.
because of his skin complexion, but because of his position. Because he was over the assembly in Antioch. Let me say that again. Simeon wasn't called the title
Strong's G 3526. Niger.
because of his skin complexion, but because of his position, right? So all the original disciples were what? Negroes. All right. Now, let me see if I got the other one. Because now I got to break down. I got to break this down even more. Let me see if it's in this one. All right. Negus. All right. There we go. Woo, you guys got me working tonight. We're going through these slides.
Got you working.
Oh man, Mike had me doing almost had me wanting to do the moonwalk again.
No, she did not.
Yes, I did.
Mike had me almost wanting to do the moonwalk again, bringing back some memories. I was like, okay, Mike. Yeah, let me see if I
do the moonwalk and say, what's that popping sound? What's that crackling sound? Oh,
all right, let me do this here. I think I already copied it over. All right. Yeah, now family, let's deal with Negus. I may have to pull in the Ethiopian portion of it because I don't see it here. But right now, let's go here. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 2. Right? We see here also in past times when Saul was king over us, thou was he that had led us out and brought us in Israel. And Yahweh said to thee, thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain. Look at this word, Nagayad. The primitive root is Nagad over Israel. What's that? What does that sound like, family? Right? Let's continue. Let's see what this means in Hebrew. It says here, civil, military, or religious commander, right? A commander, civil, military, or religious, governor, in other words, chief, leader. That's the key, leader. Simeon was a leader. His title would have been in the Israeli Nagid, right? Right here, actually, here is Nagid because you don't see the correct yod right here. But anyway, this right here will be pronounced with an e, so to be Nagid. But anyway, but in ancient Hebrew, this would be Nagayad, which the primitive root word is Nagad. So nevertheless, leader. Okay, so the Hebrew Nagad, Nagayad, and Nagid is synonymous to the Ethiopian title Negus, Negus. And when we go to the etymology definition of this word, it says Negus, title of the ruler of Abyssinia, 1590s, from Amharic Semitic Negush, in other words, king, from stem of Nagasha, in other words, he force ruled. So Negus, Negus, is connected to the word Negro, right? Because when you understand Negus, Negro, Nagad or Nagid, guess what? It ties into the name Yahya. Yahya who? The Negro. I'll try to get a little fancy with it, right? Try to put a roll with it, but the Negro. All right. So let's prove this. Let's see who Yahya is. The Jewish Encyclopedia, Volume 12, Yahya the who? Negro. They were slaves. Look at here. Portuguese family of the Middle Ages, member of which were prominent in Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Turkey. Certain individuals of the family bore the additional cognomen Negro with reference to the Moors, from whom several of their estates had been obtained. The more prominent members of the family are as follows. So we see Yahya, right? That is a Negro. And they record the whole lineage of them going all the way back to David. All right. As you see here, certain individuals of the family bore the additional cognomen Negro with reference to the Moors. Any comments, Berean scholar?
Keep cooking. You're cooking. Go.
So we see these Negroes here, right, family? right? Let's keep it going. Now, when we go to his son, still part of all connected with King David. Did it have it here? I don't think it have it here. But anyway, so Yahya Abin Ya'ish flourished in Lisbon in the 11th century. Died about 1150. He was held in high esteem among the Israelites, and King Alfonso I honored him for his courage. After the conquest of Sanitarium, the king presented him with 2 country houses that had belonged to the Moors, wherefore he assumed the name Negro. Then we have Joseph ben Yahya ha-Zakin, grandson of Yahya ben Ya'ish, lived in Lisbon in the middle of the 13th century, who was so wealthy that he built a synagogue. All right, we know it wasn't called the synagogue, but anyway, at his own expense. He was the author of a Talmudic commentary that no longer exists. Go figure, right? The Negro Talmud, that Talmudic piece of work, just so happened to disappear. All right, King Alfonso honored him for his courage after the conquest. You know, that's the key point I want to point out. But again, it says here, it says here, the king presented him with 2 country houses that belonged to the Moors, wherefore he assumed the name Negro. And then we go further with this about Portugal. The influence of the canonical law was felt much later here than in Spain, and not so violently until the expulsion. There were no active hostilities against the Jews in Portugal. Alfonso Henriques, the conqueror and the first king of Portugal, found Jews already settled in Sanitarium, Lisbon. But giving some additional information here. But the key that I want to point out here, when you start looking here, these guys, they were noble, they was very respectful, but then others began not to see them that way, because it goes here and say he pursued the tolerant policies of his grandfather Alfonso VI of Castile, and issued letters for protection to the Jews, also to the Moors of Pharaoh. So you see that they were used to carry out tasks for the king. There was like a special group of Israelites, Negroes, who were used to go out and that was tasked by the king. He moreover employed Jews in his service, as for instance, Dam Yahya Abin Ya'ish, ancestors widely branching Yahya's family, who was the receiver of customs, and to whom he gave 2 estates which had belonged to the Moors. So it's saying here that he sent them out on task. It goes on to say, who employed Jews as farmers of the taxes and as tax collectors, although under him the hostile attitude of the church began to be felt. But nevertheless, family, these are Negroes here. These are Negroes. Aldeos dos Negro actually translates to village of the blacks. Right? That as I read this this area here, where is it? Right here. When it says, and to whom he gave 2 estates, Aldeas dos Negros, that actually transliterates to the village of the blacks. Anyway, I don't need to keep beating that dead horse, do I, guys?
Now, there's more than one witness. It's been established.
But you see, this is tying in to how you start seeing how they start shifting towards the Yahya's descendants, these Negroes. I'm not going to read all of this. I was trying to get to a key point here. Let me see. Do I want to get into all of this? That's getting into the lost tribe stuff. All right. What do you think, guys? Do you guys want to play any more? Want me to play any more of his videos, or do I need? Or did we pretty much?
I think you landed the plane, and now I'm going to guide you to the gate.
All right, we got a flight delay.
Got some we went through the turbulence. We went through the turbulence.
We got a layover. We got an extended layover.
No layovers. We have been flying this plane. We've been in a rainstorm. We've had fog. The pilots are tired. The airline attendants is are tired. Spirit is gone. It's time to come on, and it's to the gate.
Want to give a shout out here.
Bring
See
it
a
on
couple
home.
more super chats here. Butter, want to thank you for the contribution tonight. Really appreciate you. Thank you again. And let's see here. Dant, thank you for the super sticker. And I thank everyone that contributed tonight. Family, let's show some love for the contributions we received tonight. Thank you guys again. Really appreciate the love and support. Really appreciate you guys.
Now, I will say this. I pray deeply that he sees this video. I hope he hears my voice. If he is listening, if he does decide to listen to the chat, this particular live tonight, and then reach out to you and have a true discussion in breaking this down to help him really understand what he's reading and what he's connecting before he go any further out there.
Can I add to what you're saying, sis?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm right there with you. My prayer is because I'm excited for him. I am excited that number one, he's carrying his father's work farther.
Yes.
And he's digging in where most pastors won't dig.
Yes.
And just like most of us all, he's finding truths out
Yes.
that need to be found because it's too many untruths been told for so long.
Absolutely.
And like you, I pray that number one, he continue to find more truth.
Yes.
And I think he will.
And his name,
he's a good,
right.
He has a good heart.
If he does have a very good heart. You can see he has a good heart. He has a heart like his father, which is like I was about to say. His name carries so much weight, and I know that's a heavy. I'm not gonna say burden, but a heavy. I'm gonna say rock or boulder to carry around his back to uphold. And in his walking, and now he's in this truth, he has to make sure that his truth is real. Because you can go into these holes and start digging and find yourself digging in somewhere you shouldn't be digging. So it's not if the hole is not matching up to the other holes where it doesn't connect, that means you need to leave that hole alone and go seek help to redirect you back where you need to go.
Yeah, you're right.
And you know, while you guys go ahead, continue. I'm gonna do something real quick. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna share
we got
this
people
real quick.
in this awakening who are teaching things that are far off base according to the scripture, but they teach it anyway because they're still stuck they're in their awakening, but they're still stuck in Christianity mindset.
Yes. Like we all were. I mean, it's although we come out of it, but it still lingers.
All praise
you have
to the Most High.
When
Thank you for saying this. So you're right.
Trying to attach.
Like
because
we all were.
we were born into
like
it.
We all were.
By our parents.
As without the child, spoken child, any child, a reason
You
a
guys still
child.
there?
But when I became a man, I put away childish thing. Yeah, I'm still here.
Houston, we have a problem.
All right, I can still hear you guys. I just don't have. I'm just getting ready to pull up this slide here.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I don't think Sister Carol can hear us. All right. We can hear you, Sister Carol.
Okay. Hello.
We can hear you.
Test
all right,
1, 2,
family.
3.
Let me show you another thing. Sister Carol, you may have to go out and come back in. Brian Scott, I don't have my phone with me. If you could text her, she may have to go out and come back in.
I get up. I get up.
All right, so family, let's real quick, deal with the grafted in. I'm not going to go through this whole presentation. The slide is up there, but I want to show you something real quick. Many will go to Romans chapter 11, and they will use this with grafted in. And I want to tell you, Romans chapter 11 has nothing to do with non-blood descendants of Israel. Now, I'm not saying salvation is not extended to them. I want to be clear about that. But what I want to make sure you guys understand, this is all dealing with Israel. This is dealing with Joseph, right? When you start seeing about the wild olive tree, right? This is dealing with Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh, right? Because there's some nuggets here. There's some nuggets here. Let me break it down real quick. Let me see if I could go back a little bit. I want to make sure. All right. All right, that's dealing with the word church. I'm not going to break down the church. All right. So Romans chapter 11, verse 25. Look at what it says here. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Now, according to this, many will take this as if this is dealing with all the nations outside of bloodline Israelites. But I'm going to show you, family, that this is all about Israel here. This is dealing with Joseph and his sons Ephraim and Manasseh, the twins. Look at this here. Who are the Gentiles in this text? Let's go to Romans 16 through 21 and break this down real quick. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive, wert grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Verse 20. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. And thou standest by faith, not be high-minded, but fear. For if Yahweh spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. So this chapter begins with Apostle Paul stressing that Yahweh did not divorce Israel. Context is everything, family. We got to get away from so many of these preachers. And I want to make it clear, I'm not dealing with Fred Price here. I want to make sure when I say this, we have so many leaders because he's very astute in the word. I'm just being clear. But we need to get a lot of these preachers that's giving this word. They'll talk about exegesis, right? But they're not. They're literally piecemealing and pushing a narrative that's foreign to the actual text when you study it. Am I right, Berean scholar? You know, when you're dealing with hermeneutics.
Yeah, you're right. Hermeneutics.
So, go ahead, Berean scholar. I'm sorry.
No, that's hermeneutics 101. You're right.
So, all right, we're not going to call names here. Come on, family. Let's not do that. We're not doing that. We're not calling anyone names. So this chapter begins again with Apostle Paul stressing that Yahweh did not divorce Israel. So, and this is a continuation from the previous chapter, not getting into all of that. Paul is clear that there will always be a remnant of the bloodline Israelites. That's what, look here, Romans chapter 11, verse 23 through 25. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted. Now, at the beginning, it deals with what I mean, what Paul is referring to with there's always going to be a remnant. Early on, he deals with Elijah and the 7,000 prophets that he didn't know was still out there, that was out there. Now, reeling this in, look at here. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for Yahweh is able to graft them in again. Wait a minute. How is it that they're being grafted in again? That means that they're part of the connection. This verse right here kills that whole argument that this is dealing with non-blood Israelites, non-bloodline Israelites. This is all about Israel. You can't put something back into its place if it was never there. That's why it says here, and they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for Yahweh is able to graft them in again. Bring them back. Because when you study Ephraim was off the chain. But not going to get into the details. Verse 24, for if thou were cut off of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall be the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree? All right. Remember, family, Ephraim and Manasseh was elevated to be what? Have a seat at the table with with Jacob's sons. Because remember, Reuben had an inappropriate relationship.
Right.
So he lost the blessing of being what? The firstborn. So now these two got a seat at the table. They were what? Grafted. They were adopted. Anyway, and Paul deals with that in 2 chapters prior in Romans chapter 9. Anyway, for I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Now, let's break this down real quick. We're going to knock this out the park. Here we go. The Greek definition of fullness. Let's see what fullness means. Right? It says here, repletion or completion, multitude, period, fulfilling, full, fullness. Take a snapshot of this, family, because we getting ready to drop a mic here. Paul is clear that all of Israel, both the house of Judah and the house of Israel, has been blinded to the truth for a period of time. Paul also says that the wild olive branch will continue to be grafted in to cultivate into the cultivated olive tree to replace those branches broken off until the fullness of the Gentiles had been added. Here's a key breadcrumb, right? In the Greek definition of fullness, we see the word multitude, right? What is the Hebrew definition? What is the Hebrew word for the word multitude that aligns with this definition? Well, it's malah. Malah lines right up with the Greek word. I can't remember the Greek word. Let me go back here. Pleroma. Pleroma, as you see here, multitude, right? So let's bring this all together, family, as we wrap this up. Malah connects to pleroma. Excuse me if I butcher it. Here it is. Fullness. Fullness. Multitude. Uh-oh. Now we got to go to the scripture. Here's the mic drop right here. Who are the Gentiles in Apostle Paul and Apostle Paul's Romans 11 teaching? Who is he referring to? Is it the church? No. In this text, who are the Gentiles? Ethnos. Genesis chapter 48, verse 17 through 19. Here's the mic drop. We're going to see Malah here. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it pleased him, and he held up his father's hand and removed it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And when his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude. Look at here, Malah or Mala'ah means fulfill of nations. Oh, come on, fam. That's the mic drop right here. This is what Paul is dealing with. Paul is dealing with Ephraim and Manasseh. Because when you read about what happened to Ephraim, Ephraim began what? To get into all kinds of idolatry. Read the book of Hosea. Then the Most High said, hey, I am Elohim. Your transliteration would say God, not man. The northern kingdom, guess what? They went through a number of names. They was also called Ephraim because Ephraim was a very large group. Ephraim and Manasseh was a very large group. So we just dropped the mic right here. We just dropped the mic right here. All right. Let me see. Do I want to get into all of that? No, we're not going to get into here. But anyway, the Gentiles in this text is Ephraim. So Jacob on his deathbed blessed Ephraim when he adopted him and his brother Manasseh, and he spoke the blessing over Ephraim that his offsprings would become the fullness of the nations. How does this connect to the adoption or grafting? What blessing did Jacob give Manasseh and Ephraim when he blessed them? The double portion, the birthright of Reuben, was entitled to receive for being the firstborn. And we're going to drop the mic and close it out with this. Joshua 17, verse 14 through 17. Look at this. And the children of Joseph spake unto Joshua, saying, why hast thou given me one lot and one portion to inherit, saying, I am a great people, for as much as Yahweh hath blessed me hitherto. And Joshua answered them, if thou be a great people, then get thee up to the wood country and cut down for thyself in the land of the Perizzites and of the giants, if Mount Ephraim be too narrow for thee. So he extended their territory. And the children of Joseph said, the hill is not enough, and all the Canaanites that dwell in the land of the valley have chariots of iron. All right. And they both are of Beth Shean in her towns, and they who are of the valley of Jezreel. All right. But the key here, thou art a great people, and has great power, thou shalt not have one lot only. So this is what Joshua is saying to Ephraim and Manasseh. Here's the kicker. Right? All right, I'm not going to get into this. You guys already know this about Reuben, but I want to close this out with this. Chronicles chapter 1, First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn, but for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph, right? The son of Israel. And the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. That's a mic drop, family, right? For Judah prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was who? Joseph. All right, so the birthright was given to who? Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Reuben messed up. Ephraim and Manasseh got adopted, right? Grafted to what? The original. Got a seat at the table. They eat with the adults. They don't have to sit on the newspaper or on the towel on the floor while everybody eating the big meal at the big table.
You mean at the card table?
Yeah.
That fold-out table.
Exactly. So, family, we just proved it, right? We just proved it. This is the Tanakh. I'm not going to go into all of this. We're not going to go into all of this. So that's why I wanted to, family, bring this home, because it says chief ruler. This is dealing with Judah. Judah said it mentioned the chief ruler. Now we go all the way back to what that word is again. Nagid. Nagad. Because it says here about, let me go back a little bit. It says here, through Judah became more powerful, though Judah became more powerful than his brothers and a leader, Nagayad came from him. In other words, chief ruler came from him. The head Negro, I can't say it like I want to say it because of YouTube, but we know who's in charge. So we're going to stop right here, family.
I'm glad you brought that up, Pastor. I was thinking the same thing the whole time, how we said things in joking growing up, but the word actually means who's in charge.
Yeah. People used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they call me Batman. I know that went a little over some of the people's heads. Dear East Side, right? Patterson, New Jersey. But family, that's what this word means. That's what this word means. It took we went all the way back to showing the proper application of negus, right? Which is synonymous to let me play this clip real quick. Y'all made me work tonight. I guess because I didn't have my presentation. Y'all had me working. So here's that word.
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
That's the Hebrew word, or the Greek word. That's the transliteration of Nagad. So remember, family, and that's the thing I want to point out, just to make sure we all on the same page. I know that many would take that word and say that it means skin complexion, when actually that is a title. And that title is what? Chief. He's the chief what? Leader in Antioch, going back to the Simeon. All right? And we just brought it full circle, dealing with the grafted in. All right? Any comments, guys, as we get ready to wrap it up?
You stuck to the principle, Pastor. You had more than one witness on each thing. You had that word is mentioned in more than one scripture. You nailed it.
Absolutely.
And family, it was a lot more to uncover, because especially his definition or description of Christ. I was like, he described Christ when he started getting into the burnt feet like burnt brass. He referred to that as being like a middle brown, not being dark. So it's a lot. It's a lot that we could cover, but we'll be here until next Shabbat if we went through all the details in the video. But again, I hope this helps you guys and giving you guys some information, of some clarity of how to even approach the information. And we hope that it really blesses you. But let me give some shout outs here. See some additional super chats. Anxiety Alley, thank you for the love and support. Really appreciate it. Ty in the building. Just wanted to contribute. Appreciate it, Ty. Thank you, sis. Really appreciate you. And also we have is that nope. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but charge it to my head, not to my heart. Thank you for the love and support. Nopo. All right. But thank you guys and family. Let's give some shout outs to everyone that blessed us tonight. And give yourself a hand as well, because they know how special we are. And that's why we see the problems that we have. They try to stir up problems. And what's so ironic, right? When I went and watched the Michael Jackson movie, it brought back a lot of the things I knew about Michael Jackson, about all the heat that he was taking because of how good of a businessman he was.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jackson was no joke.
No, he was not.
He was no joke.
Very smart.
And so when you start understanding just how powerful our people are, this man, I'm not going to get into the other discussions, but he died. His death was very questionable. But look at this. This was what, almost 20 years ago? and he's dominating the charts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not just the
Number
movie
one.
charts. He's
No.
dominating the music charts again.
Yep.
Something that Beyonce, what's the other girl, the tall, skinny girl, the country that sing, I guess, country girl or whatever. I can't remember. Married to dating a football player. I can't remember her name, but they talk about her a lot. But all these different artists of today cannot hold a glove, no pun intended, to that Thriller album.
That's wrong.
You know, it's Taylor Swift. That's it. That
Yeah.
Thriller album was selling week, and he did that for over a year
million
and
a
a half.
week. Yep.
Thank you, Elder Bethia.
Nobody has sold an album $1 million a week to this day.
Let that with no internet, people going out and actually buying his stuff.
Yep.
Going
At
to
the
the record stores.
The record store. All around
That's
the world.
how special we are, family.
Who is this?
Can you
Let me
guys
block
hear
this
me?
person.
I
I
think
can hear you
YouTube is
now.
now
You keep
Can
going.
you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
StreamYard is going in and out.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
YouTube
It's
is doing
I
something
think you
here.
got blocked out.
I'm gonna see if I could back out and come back in.
That's what I had to do.
I'm going in and out on my end. Let me jump out real quick.
Can you hear me, sister?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm glad you got. I was trying to get to Eli before you did because I was seeing that. I don't know what he was talking about. I don't know why he went on that rant.
You saying about yourself. I'm reading now.
But you know, the topic that we covered tonight, and I'm glad that Pastor Richardson did it because, like I said, it's helped us to bring clarity because just to make sure we brought clarity into what was about this topic because a lot of people all over this country, all over the world, are waking up to who we really are, and the scriptures are plain. The scriptures are plain, but theology is twisted.
Correct.
And a lot of things that I see because I've been corrected on my reading, not because it's the change in the Bible. You know, I could go. You know, I think for people like Pastor Richardson and everything to show what the true Hebrews and the Hebraic thought is when you read the scripture, because to read those scriptures and say, okay, this person is this color, this person is this color. Color was not an issue back then.
No.
I mean,
That
it
was
was not
created in
about
this
color.
country.
Yes. We got hung up on that because sin, because man, because the wicked heart of men.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I found it so funny that when you talk to atheists, scientists, it's easy for them to accept color facts based off what they see in the genomes, what they see in DNA. It's easy for them to accept it than the people who so-called study the words of the scriptures.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they doing all kinds of crazy stuff here. Suddenly everything is going to a crawl on my end.
It did me like all. It's been doing like that to me all night. Even the chat was off.
Yep, and then they kicked Sister Carol out, and now they mess with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we will, family. We could touch more on this, which we will, because it's more that we can discuss, but don't want to drag this out much longer because of the issues that we're starting to have. And when that happened, I may have to check my my mail to see if I got a notification, of them taking down my my video or trying to flag me. All right. But with that being said, family,
You
really
said that,
appreciate you
Pastor.
guys tonight. Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
I'll thank everyone in the chat. I see how many people chat. The numbers down, but still, if each one in the chat will hit a like, make a comment after the video, and share this video, we can help that, because they are trying to stop the truth. So please like, comment, and share.
Absolutely. Sister Carol, any comments?
Stay in the truth. Do not waver off into other things. Stay where you are in scripture. Do not go to other books, other sources that will take you away from the truth. Stay in truth.
Yes.
And I want to take thank you, Sister Cheryl. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the contribution tonight, and really appreciate you for hanging in this late. Really appreciate you, Sister Cheryl, and tell hubby to reach out to me tomorrow. But really appreciate you for the contributions tonight. Thank you all for the contributions tonight. And with that being said, as Sister Carol, as Berean Scholar echoed, we're just going to have to continue to listen with intelligence. We have to really pay attention to the things that are around us, and just keep it simple. It's just so much out here that they're purposely, making it hard, just because they know that more and more we're starting to pick up on the game, so to speak. That's why they're attacking the educational institutions. Why? Because the people that was taking advantage of the educational system the most was our community, because we always got told we got to do more than the average person. So that's why you have degrees that's at a higher level within our community, and more specifically, the women.
Correct.
This is all done by design, and it's backfiring on them. So now what do? They have to attack the very system in our communities that many of our brothers and sisters have used to help get out of the hard situations and the hard communities that we grew up in. But anyway, family, in the words of the Most High Yahweh that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, and when they was facing the challenge of the Egyptians, when they was at what appeared to be a dead end, the Most High gave Moses these words to give to Israel: "Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for us." But here's the kicker, family. We have to hold our peace. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.